Welcome back, everyone. Pal Ponder on Weather here. We've got multiple days of severe storms on the way with a very active period for severe weather. We're going to break down the details for you day by day in this update. Take a look at the satellite picture this morning. We already are dealing with a convective complex that is literally blowing up across the plains. And I think that's just the beginning stages of what's to come later on this afternoon. We're going to have low level moisture start to pooling down here in southeastern portions of Kansas. We've got strong upper level winds that's going to be diving in from the northwest, and that is going to explode supercell thunderstorm activity as we get into the heat of the afternoon, right into the Kansas region. And those could spell trouble with a significant wind gust of upwards to 75 miles an hour, folks. So it's a dangerous day ahead and an upgrade to a moderate risk for severe storms as we're looking at a convective complex is likely going to originate into the Kansas City region of that low level moisture that's pooling down there this morning. And as we get into the heat of the afternoon, man, a mesoscale convective complex is going to form with bow echoes, could likely lead to some significant winds and very large hail and some concerns of maybe even a possible derecho likely trying to form with some 80 to possibly up to 100-mile-per-hour winds as this will race across the Kansas region within the later on this afternoon into the evening time frame. So the main concern is right within Kansas region, swinging down into northwestern portions of Oklahoma. If we zoom into the latest guidance, and within that area, we do see that elevated moderate risk of anywhere from 45 to 60% probability of getting those significant winds and very large hail. The atmosphere is calling for the potential of up to baseball-sized hail, folks, that can do some serious damage, not only to your car, but also to your roof. So definitely be on high alert. But for those areas into northwestern portions of Oklahoma, but especially as you get into the Dodge City region, into Garden City, back into the Great Bend region, into Pratt, as well as into Wichita, into Hutchinson, all the way up into Salina, as well as into Topeka, those are the main favored areas of seeing those significant winds, kind of like a similar setup potentially as they saw in Houston just the other day. That setup left 80 to 100 mile per hour wind gusts, and they did in fact have several spin up tornadoes within that elongated boundary as we heat it up later on this afternoon. You can see the convective complex on the satellite view, really starting to blow up across areas of the plains, especially there in Kansas and far northwestern portions of Oklahoma there. This is around 6-7 o'clock. This is what potentially the satellite picture could look like. So I think things get going right around the 4 o'clock time frame, but I think they really start to get amplified as we head into that 5, 6, especially 7 and 8 o'clock region. You can see the latest guidance from the HRRR guidance has all those deep reds and purples. Those are significant, very high winds and some larger hail producers. And you can see the bowing feature of this mesoscale guidance here. That's the concern. As it starts to bow out, it's going to pick up in speed, likely traveling 50, 60, maybe even upwards to maybe 70 miles per hour at times, and produce some significant hail, but mainly those straight line winds as they start to bow out could lead to some isolated spin up tornadoes along the leading edge, and those significant, very intense straight line winds will be moving across the region, likely from that 4 o'clock to that 9-10 o'clock time frame, and then they will start to settle down and weaken as they continue to push across to the east. And that is just the beginning stages of what's likely to come. So over the next 24 hours, this is what the precipitation would look like. We still have that convective complex that's going to be highlighted across Florida, so you could get some stronger showers and thunderstorms. And of course, further you live off the coast of Florida here, some of those could turn severe, and further north back into areas of Georgia as well as into the Carolinas also have some instability. But yes, the main concern later on this afternoon would be in the plains, where that convective complex likely blows up around 4 o'clock this afternoon would fishtail further south into the northwestern portions of Oklahoma, but especially in the heart of Kansas. And then weaker as you swing up into Nebraska, back into Iowa, and especially up there into Minnesota, and back into the Dakotas, with definitely some stronger thunderstorms to contend with for you guys later on this afternoon, over the next 24 hours. But as we head into tomorrow, I think things settle down somewhat. You still have the energy that's going to be left over with this air mass. We've got a pretty dynamic, a stronger, cold front for May standards this time of year, but it is looking to slow down. And as it slows down, it's this going to still sit in that same general vicinity, even as we head into that Monday time frame. So still those same areas back into Wichita, as well as into Topeka, as well as into areas of Nebraska, getting into Hastings, into Omaha, swinging into Missouri by then. And then lighter instability as you swing into the Des Moines region, as well as into Springfield, getting further up into Chicago with some stronger thunderstorms. But this now it extends all the way into Green Bay, as well as into the Grand Rapids region on your day on Monday. But there's the concerns over the next 24 hours with these significant winds, and you can see these ribs starting to appear on these mesoscale guidance. And yes, that's not a misprint, folks. That is 100 mph. That's the damage. That's the significant winds of that mesoscale convective complex that originated right outside west of Houston and then kind of blew up over the downtown region. And as it moved across into Baytown, produced those 80 to 100 mph winds. And so that's the same similar type of dynamics that likely could possibly unfold within the Kansas region later on this afternoon over those 6 hours time frame. It could get really bumpy. So definitely batten down the hatches in a big way up there into the Kansas region. And even for tomorrow, you're still going to have the leftover lingering effects. But definitely even more concerning as this whole system really starts to get activated as we head into Tuesday. So we've got the significant southwest winds just pulling all those warmer temperatures. The dew points, the moisture from the Gulf of Mexico is going to continue to surge. And then we have another amplified system coming in from the northwest, will clash into that air mass. And we've got even a more significant upper level low that will deepen into across the plains, as well as into the upper Midwest this time, and a lot of moisture to contend with as well. And some of this could be pretty concerning as a more amplified and elevated threat and a more widespread threat looks to unfold during the day on Tuesday. And it has slowed down and from yesterday, from the latest guidance. But yes, we could have a significant low pressure likely building across areas of Minnesota, and then the overall, low pressure center deepening down to a 990, even possibly maybe a 987 millibar. And out ahead of it, you're going to have an increased wind shear upwards to possibly 60 knots. And so it's going to be definitely rotating and a lot of moisture contend with, feeding into that atmosphere, into Missouri, back into Iowa, getting into portions of Minnesota. But yes, likely extending all the way into Illinois, Wisconsin, even pushing into areas of Michigan, as we head into that Tuesday timeframe. And there's the shear, folks. That's the concern, as this whole atmosphere will be rotating strongly at the surface. So Tuesday could be a significant day and possibly likely looking to be a tornado outbreak, unfortunately, unfolding across that region. And even right now, the Storm Prediction Center does have that elevated enhanced risk. But yes, all systems go. This definitely looks like it's going to continue to ramp up and go to a moderate across this regions. But right now, we do have that enhanced risk upgrade to areas, portions of the Kansas City region, as well as into Des Moines, getting all the way up into portions of Minnesota, back into areas of Wisconsin. And this likely extends all the way into Marquette, folks, all the way to the Canadian border with this intense supercell activity that's going to unfold later on into the evening. And yes, there's the concern as well. If you look at the latest CSU guidance, now this is a kind of an AI guidance. This is not built by a human, but the computer guidance has definitely been leading the way as the last couple of months kind of giving you an early look of what possibly can unfold. And it's been fairly accurate, unfortunately, and definitely concerning, putting a pretty significant risk for strong tornadoes into the northwestern portions of Illinois, back into Iowa, as well as into good part of Wisconsin, going into Michigan, with some of those significant, potentially strong tornadoes that could unfold. And you could actually as well have your own significant winds and hail. And then for the further south, as you extend into Missouri, back into the Kansas region, getting into the eastern Oklahoma region, you're going to get further into that capping inversion where you're going to be shutting off the atmosphere as most of the energy is pulled further to the northeast. So there's the system as we head into your likely Tuesday night, as it continues to slow down with a lot of intense lightning strikes built across this region. And there's that significant low pressure center likely deepening up here into Minnesota with those significant winds that'll be fishtailing further to the south, all the way extending into Oklahoma. So definitely Tuesday is going to be a bumpy day into the overnight hours, with large scale severe weather threat and even possible tornado outbreak. And then there's the cold front as we extend into Wednesday. So that's finally going to be shifting on the move, and that would push the severe threat further south. But now it's going to elongate in more of a kind of a squall line, if you will, kind of an overrunning type setup, as we head into that Wednesday time frame, extending all the way into Ohio by then, getting into areas of Indiana, but further south into Missouri, back into Arkansas, getting into those areas, portions, southeastern Oklahoma. And this would likely extend into Texas this time, at least the northern side of Texas, going into that Wednesday time frame, tapping into those higher dew point values further to the south, with the drier air finally pulling in from the northwest by then. Then now elongated within this region, that's where we could have that supercell thunderstorm development, in the heat of the afternoon. And there's where the Storm Prediction Center has their guidance, at least right now, for a day 4 risk, extending all the way from Ohio into back into North Texas, and extends into portions of West Texas, really right along the cold front there during the day on Wednesday. And then going into Thursday, the cold front looks to slow down a little bit. That's where it gets a little bit of uncertainty, and where the overall severe weather threat will likely unfold, because of the slowness and being 5 days out from this event as we head into Thursday. But nonetheless, it likely would be extending all the way up into Pennsylvania by then, going into West Virginia, as well as into Virginia, and then further south, where they do have a little bit more heat to contend with. Yes, those could be strong and even turning severe back into Oklahoma and portions of North Texas. And that's exactly what the Storm Prediction Center has, at least right now, for that day 5 risk, going all the way up into Thursday, back into the Tulsa region, getting into Oklahoma City, as well as into the Dallas-Fort Worth region, into Little Rock, getting into as well as into areas of Shreveport. Now, this will likely be changed and get expanded as we have a little bit more certainty going into Thursday. But nonetheless, we've got a bumpy ride to contend with from literally from Sunday all the way to Thursday. And it could not even really maybe even stop even into Friday, as things still look to appear to be pretty unsettled, with possibly even yet another system, as by then we could possibly have that cold front lifting back up as a warm front. And we have another system that will be moving across the plains, and another area of low pressure could lead to more severe storms even on Friday, back into portions of Missouri, getting into areas of Kentucky, and back into Tennessee by then. But that likely won't be until Friday. So guys, we got a lot to deal with over the coming days. I will definitely keep you updated on this channel. Be sure to hit the like button, definitely hit the subscribe button, and catch my next update while I protect you before and after the storm.